Hello and welcome viewers, I'm Pia and you're watching NewsX. Now in the Middle East, a fragile ceasefire is under severe strain after the most serious direct exchange between Iran and Israel since April. Now Hezbollah rockets targeted northern Israel yesterday, prompting Israeli airstrikes on Hezbollah target in Beirut's southern suburbs. Iran then fired approximately 10 ballistic missiles at an Israeli airbase in retaliation. Now, Israeli defenses intercepted them all with no casualties reported yet. And early today, Israel struck back with strikes on military installations and targets in western and central Iran, including areas near Tehran. Explosions were reported in several Iranian cities. This escalation, now over 100 days into the broader conflict, threatens to unravel US-brokered truces. President Trump has urged restraint as diplomats race to prevent a wider war. We will continue to monitor this very fast-moving situation, but in the meantime, we are tracking some updates. We have a statement from the Ministry of External Affairs. The MEA has highlighted that India deeply regrets the renewed attacks in West Asia and that these developments are a matter of utmost concern to the international community. It's also gone on to state that this conflict has now lasted over 100 days and has already caused immense human suffering. It's also had a debilitating impact on the global economy and energy supplies. India further calls on all parties to immediately de-escalate tensions, ensure that civilians are not harmed, and conclude ongoing negotiations for a diplomatic solution so that peace and stability can return to the region. With that, we're being joined by two very special guests, Major General A.K. Sivach, defense expert, and Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, foreign affairs expert. I'd like to rope in Major General Sivach first into the discussion over here. Of course, what we've seen since late last night has been a sharp escalation. Of course, what's happening between Israel and Hezbollah. There have been skirmishes, there have been cross-border firing and attacks have been going on even as the wider Iran war has seen some sort of a ceasefire over the last few months. But now it seems that Iran and Israel are back to trading missiles. Where can you expect this to head to next? Because we do know that the Strait of Hormuz is in limbo. It's called, I beg your pardon, it's caused a shock for global crude prices as well.
Absolutely. See, the situation is quite fragile. There are two reasons, why this situation has become very volatile. One is, denying the fact the US does not want this war to continue. They want a peace process. And to some extent, Iran also doesn't want to continue. The economic condition of Iran is also not too good. The Riyal has fallen down almost 500 to 600%. There is a misgovernance. There is an economic problem which is occurring in Iran today. People are on the road. So Iran also want some sort of peace wherein their assets can be released. Also, their economic sanction can be removed. But at the same time, Israel is the one which does not want the war to stop. They want the war to continue. And especially they want that Hezbollah military capability degraded, because Hezbollah is a problem for Israel, because from the southern part of Lebanon, they are attacking the northern part of Israel, and almost about 2 lakhs people of Israel have to be taken out from that area. So Israel want to push Hezbollah toward the central portion of Lebanon, and they have already come up to Litani River. So they are not agreeing to a guidelines of ceasefire. There is a sort of a tussle between US and also Israel. The Israel and US, especially Donald Trump and Netanyahu, do not seem to be on the same page. Whereas Donald Trump knows it that his own popularity is going down in US, and there are elections in November. He wants peace to come. He wants an honorable exit. But Israel is not accepting that. Israel is doing what they are doing. Of course, now there is a heavy pressure which is put by the Donald Trump for Netanyahu to accept terms and conditions and not to attack on Lebanon, because till then there won't be any ceasefire. Now, as far as Iran is concerned, why they have attacked on Israel is this reason only, because they have time again telling they can't be any peace deal until unless Lebanon also is a part of it. Now, once they have attacked Israel, Israel has also responded back in the central and western portion of Iran. Now, what is the situation as on today? To me, it looks like that it is still a posturing. Both, countries do not want to now prolong it. America is pushing hard to Netanyahu to abide by the rules, not to accelerate it, because US wants peace deal to go through. If by chance, if the attack continues and if the round two starts, then this time the war will be have intensity more, and also it will cover more area. Chinese and Russia can also directly come into it. Remember that the Houthi river has already started it in Red Sea. They are now by and large trying to stop Bab al Mandeb. Now, if Bab al Mandeb is also blocked, now remember what will happen is that almost 20% of oil was going from Strait of Hormuz, which is already blocked by Iran, and 12% was going from Bab al Mandeb, and it going through Red Sea to the Mediterranean, and it was open till now, and especially Saudi from east-west pipeline as well as UAE from Fujairah was able to send it. But Bab al Mandeb also is closed by Houthi river. Its situation will be critical. To me, it still looks that there is a chance of a peace deal taking place. This is more of a posturing. Whatever pressure will be put by US on Israel, by and large they will accept it because it is on the larger interest. Neither US nor Iran wants the war to start. It is only Israel. But Israel has to abide by what is the US saying because it is for the larger interest.
All right, so I request you to stay on. We're tracking some further updates. This time, of course, speaking of Israel, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office now says that Israel will continue military operations in various parts of Lebanon whenever necessary, underlining that security operations on the northern front remain active. This statement comes, of course, amid heightened regional tensions with a scope for the conflict to protract. I'd like to rope in Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, foreign affairs expert, who's been waiting rather patiently. So thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us. Of course, it is interesting, and you know, as Major General Sivach had pointed out, there does seem to be some sort of clash between, I'd not say clash actually, I'd say, you know, Donald Trump and Netanyahu are not seeing eye to eye on many issues. Of course, Trump is considering the upcoming midterm elections as well, and he's trying to factor that in when it comes to at least the push from the United States to ensure that there is relative peace in the region. But we've also seen an interesting report recently where Pentagon has flagged a major espionage threat by the Israelis. What do you expect next? Because US has always been, you know, a very ironclad backer of Israel. So especially under Trump, and how impactful will the midterms be in sort of shaping Donald Trump's position in the upcoming months?
Well, first of all, a very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to Sivas sir and to all the viewers. You know, in my assessment, US-Israel strategic alliance is an ironclad alliance. It's an unshakable alliance. Though differences, divergences do come up even between friends, but I believe that they will be able to, address it successfully, amicably, and there will not be any serious issues between US and Israel. And but having said that, let me also say that while it is true on one hand that there is a midterm election in the United States of America, and as you have asked, that Donald Trump is obviously concerned about what will be the result of this election. Though if you look at the history of the US midterm elections, it has quite often been seen that the incumbent party tend to lose midterm elections. President Obama lost midterm election, and several other incumbent presidents, they have also lost midterm elections. So midterm elections are a kind of not a very testing ground of the entire administration of any US president. That I would like to say. But still, President Donald Trump would like to see a victory of Republican Party in this elections, because if he loses control over houses, then it will be difficult for him to go ahead with any resolution in the U.S. Congress in the remaining 2 years of his administration. So he would like to win it. But on the other hand, the another aspect we do not have to forget that in Israel also elections are coming up. And in Israel, Knesset elections are scheduled to be held before October, and it could be early election, maybe August or September. And the most critical elections, if it is for anybody, it is for Prime Minister Netanyahu. And Prime Minister Netanyahu would like to maintain the posture of a nation which deals with terrorism or an adversary like Iran in a very firm manner. He would like to maintain that posturing. And in my assessment, I completely agree with what General Srivastava has said, that it appears to be a posturing of Israel when it is continuing attacks over Hezbollah, considering the upcoming elections where the Likud party's entire credibility and particularly the Prime Minister Netanyahu's political future is at stake. And if he loses elections, it will be a very, very serious situation for him. He might go into jail because he is having a lot of cases on him, corruption charges, different other charges. Why such an attack could happen? What was he doing, etc., etc. The next administration, if he loses, then might open a lot of such cases. So for him, it is a very challenging situation for Prime Minister Netanyahu that he wins election, the upcoming elections. So I think to do that, his only weaponry in his arsenal is to maintain a very robust, aggressive posture. And that is why, despite all sorts of pressure President Donald Trump is putting on Prime Minister Netanyahu, he is not relenting. He is still continuing. And now he has attacked Iran also. So I think we have to understand the domestic political compulsions of Prime Minister Netanyahu when he's going to face elections either in August or September or early October. So I think that is also another point which we have to consider, and that is why Israel is doing what it is doing, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing what he is doing. So I think that is another very important aspect which we have to consider why we are analyzing the Israeli actions in Iran. But as far as the Iranian Islamic regime is concerned, I think they are showing a very adamant behavior. They are not relenting. They are not giving any indication that they have changed their behavior even a bit. Rather, they are showing a more hardened, posturing. They are doing more hardened posturing at this point of time. They are not willing to even compromise on their uranium enrichment activities, etc. And their support to terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi is quite evident. When you are putting this condition that if you attack Hezbollah, then there will be no peace, obviously you are supporting terrorism. So these scenarios are very complex scenario, Pia, and I would say that we have to prepare for a long drawn West Asian crisis. And this is not going to be resolved anytime soon. Ceasefire will happen. I believe that it is posturing. Ceasefire, I believe that will remain there. But such kind of breakups, such kind of attacks, counterattacks, hiccups, etc., the volatility, the instability, the uncertainty will continue for a very long time. That I am saying, unfortunately, I have to say this, that we have to prepare for a very long drawn, uncertain scenarios in West Asia.
Absolutely. I request you, sir, to stay on with us. We're tracking further updates. We're now learning that Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson has accused U.S. Central Command of being fully coordinated with Israel in both defensive and offensive operations, escalating Tehran's rhetoric against Washington. Now, the remarks, of course, come as regional tensions are intensifying, especially amid continued allegations from Iran that the United States is directly involved in supporting Israeli military actions. Tehran's claims have not been accepted by Washington, which has repeatedly defended its regional role as defensive. But in the meantime, there seems to be a statement put out by Donald Trump on Truth Social. If you can show it to our viewers on the screen, Donald Trump, US President, has just come out and asked both Israel and Iran to immediately stop the shooting. Let's try and get what I have on my screens and show it to our viewers. This, of course, comes as Iran has now pointed fingers at the United States of America, accusing it of aiding Israel quite actively. But there you have it on your screens. US President Donald Trump emphasizing that both Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting. This is the latest update that has come in. But of course, even then, there are major escalations now unfolding, especially in the Maritime corridor as well. Iran-backed Houthis have announced a complete ban on Israeli shipping through the Red Sea, threatening disruption along one of the world's busiest trade routes. The armed forces of the group have, of course, declared a complete and total ban on Israeli maritime navigation in the Red Sea. They've added that they will consider all enemy movements to be legitimate military targets for their group. Let's all right, there of course Houthis as well, they have now once again declared that they will not allow any of the Israeli ships to pass to the Red Sea. But of course, the latest statement by Donald Trump is of course the biggest thing at this point. Major General A.K. Sivach, I'd like to rope you into the discussion once again. Trump, of course, coming and making it very clear that he does not accept what is taking place, and he's urged both Israel and Iran to immediately stop shooting. This comes even as I just mentioned earlier, Iran is leveling allegations of US directly backing and very actively backing Israel, a claim that the United States has been rejecting. How do you view the statement?
You know, it is not in the US interest to basically again escalate the situation. They want a peace, and Donald Trump want an honorable exit, and he don't want basically Netanyahu to escalate even in Lebanon. So very correctly, Donald Trump has passed a message to both Iran and also Israel to de-escalate, not to escalate the situation. Now, if you see the situation which is building up, no denying the fact Israel and US have a very good relation, and there is a Jews lobby which are there in US. So US by and large will hold the hand of Israel. But at the same time, as in the present scenario, it looks like that Donald Trump and Netanyahu are not on the same page. And but all the same, Netanyahu will have to follow what Donald Trump is telling, is dictating, because after all, Donald Trump has come in this war basically for Netanyahu. This was not a war of US, it is a war of Israel. Now, having said that, one will, if you appreciate as to how things are unfolding, that why US wants a ceasefire, obviously everyone knows it, that Donald Trump wants to come out of this war, the midterm election, his popularity is down. At the same time, Iran's situation is also not too good. Remember that after Iran has put blockade in state of Hormuz, a naval blockade which was put by US in state of Oman is also paying a dividend, because no ship is able to go in and out of Iran ports. Remember that 90% of the oil is produced in Kharg Island, and this is not able to come out, and their storage facility is already full. So their drilling machines as well as the pump will also now come to halt. So that Iran does not want to restart. It will take 2 to 3 months. So therefore, Iran is also very much interested some sort of ceasefire take place, some sort of talks materialize, and peace deal is signed. Now, as far as this Houthi rebellion is concerned, till now they have not directly come into this war in second time. But in case if they come, they will able to stop Bab al-Mandeb, which is in the Red Sea. Then, though they are telling about only Israel, but they can also stop what is coming from other countries, including Saudis and also UAE. Now, that will have an adverse impact on the economy of the world. As it is, food, fuel, fertilizer rates have gone almost 2 to 3 times all over the world, and the countries which are developing and global south have suffered the maximum. So I certainly feel that it seemingly looks to be posturing. Israel will also understand what US is saying. See, Israel cannot fight this war alone. Israel needs the help of US. And in case US come out of this war and Israel has to fight alone, it will be very, very difficult because Iran still have 70% arsenal of rocket, missile and drone. So having said that, to me it looks like that both Iran and Israel will abide by so-called direction given by Donald Trump. Things will ease out. There will be a chance of a peace deal coming in near future, which is the most important for the whole world. But if it does not happen, and in case the Israel does not abide by it, and it keeps on attacking on Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Iran start the war, then unfortunately this time the war intensity will be more and more area will be covered, and then it will have a very adverse impact on the economy of the whole world.
Absolutely. So, requesting you to stay on with us. We're tracking some other updates that are coming in. IDF has in fact struck southern Tehran. There's been an attack on Karaj. It struck the Sayyid A. Shohada headquarters, one of the central units of the IRGC in Tehran region. There's an Israeli airstrike on Kabudarhang, which has struck the Basij checkpoint near Shahrokhi Air Base. Not just that, it also seems that operations at Tehran's Mehrabad International Airport have now been suspended until further notice. Flights have been disrupted as smoke is of course still billowing over parts of Tehran. In the midst of all of this that is taking place, the IRGC now reports and this is claims circulating in the media in Iran. It states that senior IRGC figure Ahmad Bahidi may have been killed in Israeli airstrikes inside Tehran following escalating military exchanges. These are reports that have emerged after Bahidi reportedly issued strong warnings against Israel earlier in the day. There has of course not yet been an official confirmation from Iranian authorities or independent verification so far. These are just media claims that are circulating within Iran. Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, I'd like to rope you into the discussion over here as well. So quick succession of developments since last night. Major General Sivaj has pointed out that yes, since it will not be feasible in the long run, it does seem that there's a lot of posturing taking place. But what about the short term? Do you think this is likely to continue over the next course, the course of the next week, or how long will it take to finally sort of dissipate?
Well, I think this is very likely to be continuing, even not for just next week, but maybe weeks and months, maybe in years too. Because, there is a huge trust deficit between United States of America and Iran. And obviously, there's no trust with this IRGC-led Islamic regime and Israel. There's another fact, harsh reality. And that is why any kind of a peace deal, I do not see any such possibilities in coming times. And though the efforts are being made to secure a peace deal, but the peace deals achieving that and attaining that goal might be a very long drawn process. It is going to be a prolonged conflict because again I would say that the status quo which was being maintained for decades since 1979 onwards, that broke down completely on 28th February when the United States of America and Israel, they took a very major action eliminating the top leadership of Iran, including the supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei. And after that, the kind of a new status quo, if it has to be emerged, first of all, it is required that both the sides must have a win-win approach, and without that kind of approach, no agreements can be arrived at, and no new status quo can be achieved and established. So I think creating a new status quo coming up to new understandings in a new changed scenarios after 28 February is a long-run process. And though I believe that ceasefire will remain, and it is still being maintained, though the attacks and counter-attacks are happening. If you look at Pia, that Iranian Islamic regime, they attacked UAE Fujairah pipeline. That area was attacked. US ships, when it was passing through the Strait of Hormuz, they were attacked. Our ships came in under crossfire. Indian ships, a lot some sailors lost their lives. And now this kind of attack, where the Iran and the US, they have attacked. Now Israel has taken action. So I think this kind of attacks and counter-attacks will continue. But at the same time, it will be done to maintain their strong, robust defensive posture and rather aggressive posture. And I think Jay mentioned that the domestic political compulsions of Israel should be also considered. And let me also say about the midterm elections, one more point, Pia, that United States American President Donald Trump, though he is concerned about the outcomes of the midterm election, and he wants a peace deal, he wants to maintain the peace, but United States of America cannot afford to come out, cannot afford to exit this war, having some such situation where it appears that United States of America has compromised a lot. That kind of a posturing United States of America cannot afford. President Trump cannot afford. If he has to come out of it, he has to come out of it with some kind of ultimate gains what Trump administration has achieved. That has to be demonstrated before their American domestic constituency. He cannot come out losing this war. That is for sure. And if he and that will be not politically feasible for him to come out and exit that entire scenario, having a sense of loss. If American people, they realize that America has lost this war, obviously he is going to lose this election. So I think this and also the upcoming presidential election after 2 years, any president, any Republican Party candidate will lose. So President Trump has also tough options, that he cannot come out of this war losing this election. He has to come out of war having a sense of victory. And that's why I say that it is important that a win-win approach has to be adopted. Iranian Islamic regime cannot also afford to create a sense that they have lost it. So unless until win-win formula is emerged, evolved, no peace is going to be possible for a long time. Ceasefire will remain, but the search for a peace deal is a long-drawn process, Pia. Unfortunately, I have to say it again.
All right, so with that, I'd like to thank you.